Hi guys, it's Kelly Lativola here and I'm back with another video for W+9. Today we are going to be using colored pencils. Aren't you proud of me? It's not Copics, it's something different. So I have picked the He Is Risen stamp set. I know this is an Easter set, but I'm totally in love with it. I think it's a set that you can use all year round. I'm using that as all, and I'm using the leaves from Modern Peonies. I really wanted like a pop of green in my little floral bouquet, and these were the most like lily leaves, and I think they worked pretty well. So I'm working on Coal Mine cardstock from W+9. I'm treating this with my embossing bag to remove any static so that my embossing powder doesn't stick where I want it to. Doesn't stick where I want it to? How about doesn't stick where I don't want it to? I want it to stick where I want it to, right? Right. Okay. So I am, if I could get my magnet in the right place, I'm going to stamp this down in Versamark ink. And then I stamped these twice. And the second time I stamped them, I actually got up out of my chair because that large lily, because there's so many stamen in the center, I was having a little bit of trouble stamping that. But once I stood up and gave it good pressure and wasn't like lazy stamping, you know, just like sitting down, lightly pressing with my fingertips like I usually do, I got a much better impression. So I'm using white embossing powder from Simon Says Stamp. I'm just cleaning up any areas that have at the top where I didn't get the embossing bag. And it doesn't even matter because I'm going to cut these out, but sometimes you just get into habits. I'm going to heat set this until it is all smooth and shiny. And then once that's done, I'm going to get right into the coloring. So I'm working on this Coal Mine cardstock, and the reason that I chose a dark cardstock, I have no idea why it's so difficult for me to say the word cardstock right now, but anyway, is because quite some years ago, my friend Lydia Fielder, her blog is Understand Blue. If you have never heard of her, please go check her out because she is just endlessly talented and very funny. That's always a selling point. Anywho, she had done this piece, and you probably heard me talk about it before. She was working on craft cardstock, but she did this technique where she started with a layer of white. That's what I'm doing here. I filled my whole flower in white. Using very light pressure, you can still see a lot of the gray shining through. That's totally fine. And then I'm going to start adding in my color, and I am not pressing very hard. I'm using a very light hand. If you're coloring with colored pencils and your hand starts to hurt, you are pressing too hard. So to help with that, you can back your hand up on the pencil and it will force you to have a lighter touch. So anywho, I'm just adding in that shading. But Lydia basically had taught me this technique where you start with white and then you go over in color and then you do another layer of white and then you do the color and then you do another layer of white and so on and so forth, rinse and repeat. And at the time I was like, I'm like, that is stunning. It is beautiful, but you are a crazy person because it took forever, like so long. And she's like, there's no way that this takes any longer than your Copics do. And I am much faster with my Copics, but I'm much faster with my Copics because I've been using them a long time. And so when I first started, I was not that fast. And so I've gathered that with colored pencil or watercolor or any other medium, I'm just, I'm going to have to work up my stamina, basically. But for this one, when I had looked at photos of lilies and I wanted to use purple. I'm turning this card into a birthday card because my sister's birthday is coming up and she loves purple. So I definitely wanted purple, and there were some that were super, super dark, but there was a specific lily. It was like dark or purple towards the center and then white towards the edges. And that's the one I wanted. So immediately when I saw that, I was like, Lydia, I'm going to try it. I'm going to give it a go. And I have tried this before in the past. I just never really stuck with it. I was really pleased with the way that this came out. And I realize now it's a patience thing. A lot of times I give up on it before I get to where I want to be. And one of the things that I'm trying to work on with my, crafting and using different mediums and trying new things, pushing outside of that comfort zone, because you only grow from learning. Like, so you can try new things, and even if it doesn't come out the way that you want, you still probably learn something in the process. Like, don't do A or do B. So here, as you can see, as we're getting into the darker colors, I am not pushing any harder on the pencil than I was when I first started. But because we're filling in the fibers of the paper and that wax buildup, which is what gives, because I'm using Prismacolor and they are wax based, that's what gives the colored pencil its vibrancy, is filling in those fibers of the paper. I'm not, like I said, I'm not pushing any harder, but because I already have that wax buildup from all the other colors, this is looking more vibrant. And I think I used four purples and a white, I think is what it was. And you can see I'm kind of getting like those lines, and those lines are intentional. Lilies usually do have those lines in them. So this is going to be my darkest color. I'm adding not a lot of this, just very minimal amounts. But I want to, really build up that shading. And then we're going to, once that is done and complete, we're going to go in and do another layer of white. And they do have, white will blend all of your colors together and it will be beautiful. And I love using that trick for it. But Prismacolor also has like a colorless blender pencil that you can use that will achieve the same thing without putting down the white pigment. I personally like the white pigment because I like brighter colors. So even when I'm coloring on white, I kind of cheat and use that white pencil because it really makes those colors like pop and very vivid. So here's where we're going to go over the entire thing with the white, and you can see all those purples blend out. I kind of lose any of those lines that I had before. I have heard people say, and I guess I don't usually have a problem with it. There was a card I did recently with a vase, and that one was maybe a little bit troubling. But most of the time, and especially with these, because we're coloring in between the embossed lines, I don't have any issues kind of just going back and forth. But a lot of people recommend going in small, tiny circles. And so that's totally an option to do small, tiny circles. But yeah, so birthday card for my sister. My sister's birthday is 2 days before my son's. So we always get together in my family, to celebrate each other's birthdays. We're like a little commune. We all live within basically 10 minutes of each other. And the same thing with my husband's family. We all live, basically within 10 minutes of each other. So I always try to make sure that, her birthday is about her, because, and I don't think that she would think it was a big deal. I really, really don't. But their birthdays are so close and he is little. So we have like this big party. And, so it's nice that my family still does like parties for us, even though we're grown adults. And we still buy each other birthday gifts and everything. And I know that's not the norm for a lot of people. I think my husband's family gave that up once everybody started having kids, which is, again, totally fine. But I really like still being able to pick things out for my sisters and just kind of celebrate them. So her favorite color is purple. I don't know how she's going to feel about this gray. I got to be honest. I'll let you know. But for her wedding, her colors were, what were they? Lilac and lavender. So it was like a dusty version of purple, and I really don't care for purple, honestly. I know you're probably surprised because I got purple nail polish on, but I had an emergency at work. So you guys, when you watch my videos, everybody, which I appreciate and I think is terribly sweet, thank you so much. Everybody usually comments on my nail polish color or design or whatever. Yes, I do them myself. I'm not paying somebody to do that because I am not just endlessly wealthy. So I have to do them myself or not have them done. But anyway, so I don't really love the purple. And those were her wedding colors. My wedding colors were like a pastel yellow and a bright sky blue. And that was a little bit of a problem for my husband because we are from Ohio. And if you are from Ohio or you're from the state of Michigan, then you know that there's a rivalry there, which I literally could not care less about. However, I married an avid Ohio sports fan. And so he was like, it can't be blue and gold. It can't be blue and gold. And I was like, it is my wedding and there's blue in my wedding dress and yellow is a natural complement to blue and they're pretty because I don't want people to have to wear orange. Like, I'm not a big fan of orange either. So yeah, but I picked pastel colors and I didn't really think it was a big deal, but apparently there was some sort of issue. Whatever. I went with what I went with. But my nail polish emergency. So I had, I really do. This is not a lie. I posted a picture. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw my robe picture. Like I literally, I tell you guys all the time that I drive around in my, like I go to the gas station in my pajamas, I drive around in my robe. I basically look like a homeless person most days. And I posted a picture on Instagram and I was like out in my robe. And somebody sent me a message, which was very funny. And she's like, oh my gosh, I always thought you were joking. I'm not joking, guys. I'm not. I just have no shame. I was too tired to care. It was a rough weekend. My little was sick and I was just like, yeah, no, I need coffee to survive my life and I'm going in my robe. So I did. But anywho, I have a real thing about hands and fingernails, and not other people's, my own. I don't like when my nail polish is chipped. It bothers me. I'd rather have no nail polish on than chipped nail polish. So, I have at work, I have like a little miniature bottle of, nail polish remover and like some cotton pads. And then I have, like break in case of emergency top coat and stuff. Break for this card, right? So now I'm moving on to the leaf and I wanted to show you that even when you don't leave a white edge, so like the lilies, the game plan was in fact for that purple to fade out to white. For the leaves it is not, but I wanted to show you that you can still use this layer trick of this white even when you have no intention of leaving it white. So I filled it in very lightly with the white color and now I'm going in with, I think it's actually called neon yellow. Let me just grab it off my desk here. Yep, it's neon yellow. So, and then I'm going to work out to the darker green colors and it's still going to help give it that vibrancy, which I really, really love, especially since I'm going to be putting this on a darker card base. Anywho, back to my neuroses. And it really is because like it will distract me if my nail polish is chipped. I focus on it. So I have like a top coat or whatever. So the outfit that I was wearing the other day had, what did I have? Oh, you know what? I posted that on Instagram too. I found it at Target. It was such a steal. It was like $8 and it had like a rainbow. Oh, it was so right up my alley. It had like a like rays of rainbow and it said kindness is magic. And I legit stripped their mannequin. Like I couldn't find one on the floor. So I flagged somebody down and I was like, excuse me, can you strip that mannequin for me, please? I'm going to need that top. And they're like, oh, I'm not really sure what size it is. And I'm like, you didn't hear me. I need that top. I'll make it work. Okay, thanks. It actually ended up being a medium, which was fine. And it worked fine. So it was like God was telling me, like, Kelly, go get that shirt. That shirt's for you. And it's only $8. Yay. But anyway, so it had the rainbow that was in it, had like lots of purples and blues. And I was wearing pink nail polish, which totally would have been fine. Pink, purple, blue, all go together, would have been fine. And I do match my nail polish to my outfits. I'm not kidding you. When I'm not looking like a homeless person at a gas station, I actually do put myself together and then my nail polish must match my outfit. Anyway, ooh, this leaf. We should probably talk about this leaf. So I'm adding like the regular shading and then I'm adding the veins out from the center, but then I'm also adding like 2 or 3 little triangles from the outside edge where the leaf is drawn bowed in, just to give it a little bit of movement, a little bit of texture. And I really, really like the way that looks on these particular leaves. So anyway, I chipped my nail polish before youth group and I had this Kindness is Magic shirt. And so I needed a nail polish that was going to match the shirt that I was wearing because I just told you I'm neurotic and I have to match them. And so anyway, I ran down to, what was it? Walgreens. I think it was Walgreens. And then I searched, because again, I am cheap. This is no secret. I searched the clearance bin and I ended up finding this one. And I thought, oh, this will be so fun for summer, which is coming. And so yeah, that's the story of how I got my nail polish, which just so happened to match my card. And I'm sure my sister will probably love it and try to borrow it. So now that all the coloring is done, I am going to cut these out. I am fussy cutting them because I didn't want any kind of border. And because I am right hand dominant, I'm going to hold the paper with my left hand. I'm going to cut with my right hand. And then I'm going to move the paper. So just, you'll see me like turn it, but my scissors always stay straight. I find this gives me the smoothest cut, and it's actually really easy with the embossed edges because you can just like butt your scissors right up against the edge of it, and it's super simple to cut out. So once all of those were trimmed out, which actually I know a lot of people are like, love the dies. I also love the dies, but it's not, I mean, fussy cutting isn't that terrible. Here, this is an embossed background that I did, and I did not love it. It was too busy for what I was trying to do, which was make these flowers the focal point of my card. So I nixed it, and I'm going to use it for something else. Instead, I'm using the same coal mine cardstock, and I am using silver lining ink from W+9, and you can see my stamp is stained in a rainbow, which is awesome, but it's because of some other cards that I made. And it's totally fine. It stamps perfectly fine. I'm going to stamp that down, and like I stood up and did everything. And then, like I told you, my son was sick. So my husband needed my assistance, because our baby was sick, and it dried back while I was away. And that's what they're supposed to do. They settle in and smooth out, and that's what makes them beautiful. But then I decided that I really did want it to be darker. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp it a second time. This is the joy of having the Misty, that this is something that is an option. It just is. And I took full advantage of it because I liked the darker version so much better. I'm switching Misties. That was mine. I have a large and a small. So that was the large Misty. I'm using the small Misty now to stamp the Sending Birthday Wishes. And this is from the That Is All set. It is just a little bit older, but it is so perfect for just any sentiment that you need to send, that basically you want to encourage someone, love on them, send them warm fuzzies, and it has a birthday sentiment in there, and that's perfect for what I need because I want to send my sister warm birthday fuzzies. So I'm stamping this down in Versamark ink. I'm doing the same thing that I did when I heat embossed the flowers, using the same embossing powder, so it's going to be white on white, and then I'm going to go ahead and heat set both of these. I stamped it twice, but I really only stamped the wishes twice, just because it was a little bit larger. Once that cooled down, and please do wait until it cools down, I don't want you to burn yourself, I'm going to put the die over top of it and cut that out. This is a trick that I like to use when I'm doing any kind of bouquet building. I put a little bit of Tombow Mono Multi Glue, and it kind of has to be that one because it's repositionable when it dries, on the back of them to hold them in place while I figure out where I want my leaves to go usually. But sometimes it's just messing around with the flower placement. This one was kind of easy because I just matched it up to the background. And then I'm going to check on how that sentiment is going to fit. The sending, I played around with it. I looked to see if I could tuck it under the flower, move it up, move it down. It just didn't fit. And that's okay because, again, I just pitched it. I'll use it for something else. It's no big. I'm going to hold these in place where I already had them, and then I'm going to apply some more liquid adhesive behind them. Well, I'm going to try to. Wait for it, because this one kind of gets away from me a little bit. Oh, popped off. Yeah, it happens. So anyway, I'm going to go at it from a different angle so that way it doesn't move on me. I didn't give that one leaf enough time to dry, apparently. So after I glued those down, I used a whole bunch of 3M Scotch tape or foam tape, and this one really liked me, wanted to stay with me, didn't want to go on the card. And then for the little bud in the back, I glued the stem down flat, but I popped up the actual flower. I'm going to pop up the large lily here so that it has some dimension. For the sentiment, the wishes, I keep wanting to say wishing. What's up with that? But anyway, for the wishes, it's kind of going to overhang onto that flower. And so I want to make sure that I don't put my foam tape over too far. That's what I was checking there. I'm going to put some glue on the part that will actually be on the flower. And then I have foam tape on the rest of the wishes. And then I'm going to pop that birthday up as well. I really like that even though it's dimensional, because it's that same gray cardstock, it kind of blends into the background. I used two different kinds of sequins for this. I used clear and then this kind of like pinkish purple iridescent mix from Neat and Tangled. and I really loved them. And in fact, I loved them so much, I think I might have got a little overzealous with the sequins. I think they might be a little out of hand, but my sister has a very glittery, shiny personality, so I'm sure she won't mind. So that is the whole card. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope that you will maybe give this colored pencil technique a try, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.